It was a quiet autumn evening in the small town of Willow Creek when the unimaginable happened. 15-year-old Emily Carter had been upstairs in her room, studying for her upcoming exams, while her mother, Sarah, prepared dinner in the kitchen. Their life had always been simple, just the two of them after Emily's father had left years ago. Sarah worked 2 jobs to keep food on the table, but no matter how tired she was, she always found time to sit with Emily every evening, sharing stories and laughter over dinner. That night, the laughter never came. Instead, Emily heard a loud crash from the kitchen. At first, she thought her mother had dropped a pot, but when she heard a muffled cry, her heart froze. She ran down the stairs, but before she could reach the kitchen, a tall man in a dark hoodie stormed past her and out the back door. Emily's legs trembled as she stepped into the kitchen. Her mother was on the floor, bleeding, her lips quivering as she tried to speak. "Emily, don't be afraid," Sarah whispered weakly. But before Emily could call for help, her mother's hand fell limp and her eyes closed forever. Emily's scream pierced the quiet night. Neighbors rushed in. The police were called, and within minutes, the small house was filled with flashing lights and uniformed officers. Detectives combed the kitchen for evidence. But the intruder had left nothing. No fingerprints, no footprints, no weapon. The case quickly went cold, and detectives labeled it a robbery gone wrong. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Emily was devastated, but deep inside, she knew this wasn't a random break-in. Her mother had been careful, cautious, and well-loved in the community. Emily was convinced that the killer knew her mother, and she refused to let the case die. One evening, Emily sat alone in her mother's room, holding a worn locket Sarah always wore. As she opened it, a small folded piece of paper fell out. Her hands trembled as she unfolded it. Inside were numbers, 7 digits that looked like a phone number, and a single name written in her mother's neat handwriting: Daniel. Emily didn't recognize the name, but something told her it was important. She tried calling the number, but it was disconnected. She decided to search her mother's old paperwork and journals. For hours, she dug through boxes in the attic until she found a stack of letters, all unsigned, but written in the same handwriting as the note. The letters spoke of secrets, debts, and promises never fulfilled. The next day, Emily walked into the Willow Creek Police Department with the letters and the note. The detectives listened politely but dismissed her, saying it was probably an old friend or forgotten acquaintance. Emily left frustrated but more determined than ever. She turned to the internet, searching the number through old directories and social media archives. Finally, she found a match. Daniel Ross, a man who had once lived in Willow Creek, but had moved 2 towns over years ago. She discovered through public records that Daniel had a long history of financial troubles, and years ago he had borrowed money from Sarah. Emily pieced together the puzzle. Her mother must have been pressuring Daniel to repay the money, and he had killed her in desperation. Armed with this new information, Emily decided to confront Daniel herself. She found his address and biked across town one Saturday morning. Heart pounding, she hid behind a fence near his house, waiting for him to leave. When Daniel finally stepped out, she noticed a distinct scar on his right hand, the same hand she had seen holding the knife that night. Emily quickly snapped a photo of him with her phone and ran straight to the police station. She showed the detectives the letters, the note, the phone number, and the photo. This time, they couldn't ignore her. They reopened the case and brought Daniel in for questioning. At first, Daniel denied everything, but when detectives presented the letters and Emily's testimony, his composure cracked. He broke down, admitting that Sarah had been demanding her money back, and in a fit of rage, he had killed her. The courtroom was packed on the day of Daniel's trial. Emily sat quietly in the front row, clutching her mother's locket. When the judge pronounced Daniel guilty of murder, Emily felt tears stream down her face. Not a joy, but a bittersweet relief. Justice had finally been served. After the trial, one of the detectives approached Emily and said, "I've been in this job for over 20 years, and I've never seen someone so young solve a case that baffled us all. You're one remarkable girl." Emily smiled faintly, her eyes glistening. "I just wanted my mom's story to be told," she whispered. Months later, life in Willow Creek slowly returned to normal, but Emily was forever changed. She became an advocate for victims' families, speaking at community events, and even inspiring others to never give up on seeking justice. Her bravery had turned her from an ordinary teenager into a voice for the voiceless. The case of Sarah Carter's murder became a reminder to everyone in Willow Creek and beyond that sometimes justice doesn't come from detectives or courts alone. Sometimes it comes from the unwavering love of a daughter who refuses to give up. And as Emily stood one quiet evening in front of her mother's grave, she whispered, "We did it, Mom. I kept my promise." The wind rustled gently through the trees, as if Sarah herself was saying, "I'm proud of you, Emily."